A Triple Plus would listen again. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Are comments coming to podcasts on Spotify? Chris Messina notes some new code in the company's iOS app, suggesting the new feature is in development. The company also seems to be adding a method to discover what your friends are listening to. Submissions for the Ambies are now open. You've until November the 18th to get your entries in. New categories include Best DIY Podcast for, and I quote, any podcast with a budget of $3,000 or less per episode. How the other half live, eh? Libsyn's AdvertiseCast says that the average cost per thousand rate for podcast advertising within AdvertiseCast's marketplace in August was $23.51. It's down year on year and month on month. The company's also suggested that the fiction, art and hobbies and games categories are, quote, more affordable. The final schedule has been released for the London Podcast Festival. The event takes place between September the 8th and September the 19th in London. The Apple HomePod Mini is apparently the world's best-selling smart speaker, beating similar products from Amazon and Google. Look at the whole smart speaker range, though, and Amazon remains ahead with 28.2% of the market, Google at 17.2%. PRX Dovetail, the company's podcast hosting and monetization service, has announced updates to the product. New tools include enhancements to the product's ad inventory management. In Germany, Axel Springer Audio and Radio FFN have launched a radio station, Stories.fm, which plays a mix of podcasts and current music. And Gumball has posted about their panel at Podcast Movement 2022, and Ashley Carman, too, has posted her impressions of the event. And in People News, Tina Forsyth is a new partner at the Podcast Connector, a podcast guest booking agency. Dan Bobkoff has launched his own full-service podcast company, Rhyme Media. He was formerly executive producer for podcasts at Axios. And in our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net, you should go and have a look at Len Markiden's LinkedIn career history. It's rather impressive. And in podcast news, TikTok superstar V. Spehar sometimes needs more than a minute to bring you the news. The Under the Desk News creator offers funny, insightful commentary every Tuesday and Friday on V Interesting. It's from Lemonada Media, and we thank them for their support this month. The Teacher's Pet returns to Australian audiences tomorrow. The podcast had been removed for legal reasons during the trial of Chris Dawson, who was found guilty earlier this week of murdering his wife. A Study of Strange was launched earlier this week by host Michael May and Convergent Content LLC. The podcast attempts to debunk common misconceptions and introduce strange tales that are typically overlooked in the genre. And Sisters of the Underground launched yesterday from iHeartMedia's My Cultura network. Eva Longoria and Dania Ramirez. The show tells the true story of the Mirabal sisters, whose lifelong activism in the Dominican Republic and state-orchestrated assassination led to the downfall of one of the most brutal and enduring dictators of the 20th century. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.